Hey, Mike. I think it's just going to be two of us today because Steve is on his way to the US this morning, I think.
Oh, yes.
So able to do anything on the competition or?
I've been looking at this notebook. There's a uh their model ensemble notebook uh uh that has a score of 0.29. I've been looking at that.
Yeah, it's the same, similar approach to what just varying the weights of three models that I think the three models we have already discussed before. One is the model that Steve spoke about last week, which uses the raw EEG data and goes through the two stages. The other is something that combines the spectrograms from the Kaggle, the EEG, and I think superposes, excuse me, both of them. So there's this model which I think talks about K plus E plus KE or whatever.
Yes.
That's the one that the guy has. I think he calls it some transformer plus or something plus head and all that. And then there is a third one which is I think very similar to prior models of again an ensemble of like a B0, B2 efficient. So this thing just combines them at different weights and gets to 0.29. I still am going to try, and I think we have a week left, right? I think when is the deadline for this competition?
I think so 10 days we have. We do have 10 days.
Okay, so we will still have next weekend. I guess it's not 31st, but is it the 7th? Let me see. April 8th. Yep. So that means April 8th, I think, is Monday. So we have entire next week. Yeah. So, on the one hand, I'm going to try to continue to try some ensembles, but they are hitting about 0.29, maybe a point lower, 0.28, but about that, it kind of breaks down. I think it's not much below that you can go, but this thing we talked about of, what trying to get more data, although Steve hasn't submitted anything new. So I'm assuming that methodology didn't work because he was trying to use new data. Remember the spec something or the other. I haven't attempted that. So that's one thing I want to spend at least a couple of 3 days next week trying between now and next Monday and see whether it gets me anything better. Like Steve said, the problem I think with the new, first I haven't identified where the new data is yet, and also the new data, I have to search for whether there is anything that mentions the new data. And then try to see whether that gives me anything better results. But I think, the single model getting to 0.25 or thereabouts is still probably the goal. Yeah, I can't find. I remember he's saying it's called spect models, but I can't spect data. Let me see whether I can. Huh. I'm just trying to see whether we can find where the new data that is it in the discussions maybe rather than code. Are you able to find the new data that
Which notebook are you referring to?
yeah, that I don't know which notebook, but that's the issue, right? I'm trying to find a discussion or code where the new data that he was talking about is referred to, like, oh, this competition is taken from, or is similar, this data competition or this competition data is similar to spec data or something that um, is mentioned somewhere, but I can't find it in the discussion. And let me check in the code. Yeah, I'm not. I'm not able to locate where additional data is. Because that was the thing that he was talking about, the 10-second slices which are available, additional data.
There's the distilled knowledge dataset, the knowledge distillation dataset by Daniel Zakaria.
Is that in code or is that in discussion?
It is in discussion. Let me try to share my screen. I think so. It's this, the knowledge distillation part.
Yeah, I saw that. But that one, that'd be interesting to check out. But yeah, this isn't per se what I was looking for. I was looking for the additional data that SparkNet, is that the one? Oh, yeah. So if you look at, there is something called SparkNet.
Here in the discussions.
And No, not in the discussions. It's in the code, but let me check whether SPA or CNET. Okay, let me search for that. Yeah, so let me, yeah, I found the paste the notebooks that talk about it. I can share my screen. You see here.
Yeah.
So this guy has used the data. This is potentially the GitHub thing. See, this is where the actual, so let's go here. What the data is. Go to it has the same 6 classes, if you see. But I don't know where the actual data is. But if you look at this guy, he's created this data set. But the other issue though is, if he uses, well, in this, I guess he just loads it. What he does. This doesn't seem very useful, but what if that is the gate? This is where he tries to use it. a different guy. But his score is, however, very poor. But with the ensemble, he's able to get to about 0.34. But he does use the SparkNet data, I guess. Be interesting to see where he does that. There. This is a dense net, I guess, to do this. But as you can see, he doesn't get a very good result. Yeah. Let's see how much does he. Yeah, I don't know how much weight he puts on that model because it gives him a pretty horrible score. Yeah, similar to what this guy gets to 2.87. Yeah, I was just wondering whether using the SparkNet data will give us any better results, but doesn't seem so from these experiments that people have done. Right. This is all the SparkNet thing with code. And if you were to go to discussions and search for SparkNet, Yeah, see, there is a discussion on this thread of that, but it doesn't say that it's very useful. Hmm.
I don't think so. This data set will be useful here. And they might have also rules related to what sort of data sets can be used. And does this apply here?
Yeah, but the guy in this discussion doesn't say that you can't use it. So, hmm, this thing, yeah, see here he says that as long as, because it is publicly available, you can use it.
Mhm.
But anyway, that's the only other thing I could think of because, or using, I think, what Steve pointed to, which is this guy and how he does this pseudo labeling stuff. I don't know what score this guy has gotten. This kind of pseudo labeling approach.
I don't think so. Rapids work in this competition. They say they are using Rapids here, NVIDIA Rapids,
Where does he say
because
that?
it's in the top, at the top. Python
Oh, here you
Rapids.
go.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean much, right? Unless he might be just using it for a portion of what he does. Yeah, yeah.
They are using Q signal here for EEGs, right?
Do what the yeah, there aren't that many new ideas per se to try out other than ensembling or trying pipeline that Chris Diote talked about. Do you have any other thoughts?
Yeah, I think so. We should take a look at the three model ensemble pipeline uh, that those guys have at the top. That has a score of 0.29 or 0.3. I think so. That should be our approach during the next week. We should try to ensemble it, come up with
Yeah,
some,
there's a ton of people who are doing the same thing, so it will just be a crowd actually. So the question is how to improve on that. That's why I was working on individual models that can then go towards the ensemble and improve that. But I got about 0.34, I think, is by far my best model so far, single. That's again 5 folds, but a single type of model, but I haven't gotten anything beyond that. And once, somebody ensembles or something, at least in my ensembles, changing the weight by even drastic amounts doesn't seem to do much in terms of changing where the ensemble ends up. They all end up around 0.3 or around 0.31, and it doesn't change much regardless of how much you tweak the weight. So that means you have to do something to the underlying model to get better. So which is why I was thinking of still spending half my time on improving the underlying models. we've seen where that gets us in terms of once the underlying model improves, see whether the ensemble improves.
Yeah, I think so.
Anyway,
The underlying model should be in efficient at 0, the less than 34, and the third was, I think so, the PyTorch one.
yeah, I mean, that's true, but it's also the approaches, right? Like in one case, the data is raw EEG, the other case, the data is um, combination of spectrograms from EEG and from Kaggle spectrograms. And then the other case could be combination of all three. By that I mean spectrogram from Kaggle, spectrogram from EEG conversion, and then all of them put together, smushed together into like a number of channels or whatever. So anyway, I keep trying to improve half the time probably to improve the underlying model and half the time in trying to improve the, because the other thing that you run into towards the end, so I do think I want to kind of be conscious because that has bitten me in the past, is as you get closer to the deadline, and in fact, you can think of it that way even now. I have suffered from this, not thinking about it this way in the past, is between now and end of, assuming Monday, 4 o'clock, my time is when I have to submit, so maybe about 7, I have like 8 or 9 days, which means I have between 40 to 45 submissions left that can provide me feedback. Because sometimes what happens is, like you're thinking of experiments and you run the experiments early on, too many, and then you run out of like ability to submit and get feedback. So I want to kind of keep that in mind too this time and see, okay, how do I use my 45 submissions most effectively? And every day, 5 of them expire. So each day you should probably maximize 5 submissions. So
Yeah,
that's
totally
something
agree
to
with
keep
that.
in mind. So anyway, that's all I had. I think been a while, so we'll see. There are some, I'm sure there are some clever ideas in the way people have done it at the top. So, okie dokie. Good luck with the week, and I think even next week it'll probably be just the two of us, and then we'll see where we end up.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Thanks for
Okay then.
joining. See you next week.
Yep. Goodbye. Take care.
You too. Bye.